Yes. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum. I should have done this before I fucking press record, but I'm here in studio with my guy Alan. Hey, Double, what up, baby?
Hey, we're here.
I've been wanting to talk to you on this, do a podcast and chill with you because these are a little more laid back. If you saw the start of this video on the YouTube channel, you saw me moving away the laptop, and these have become the ones that I get the most engagement with, the ones that people like storytelling. People like the journey of everyone, and everyone has a unique story. And that's what I really like about the podcast and chills. You know, like the one thing, Alan, that I've started to describe what the show is about and the direction that it's been is like you'll come here and you'll get your stats, you'll get your PFF shit, and you'll get your like
Content.
bars and current events in sports. We're going to touch on that. But I love these conversations the most. I think these conversations have made me a better person because when's the last time, bro, you've hung out with someone and like phones were in a distraction?
Usually only happens really on dates because I have respect for women, man. I'm not taking my phone
You're
out.
a stallion, baby. You're a gentleman.
I would take my phone out. I mean, when they go to the bathroom, all right, let me just see what's up. But other than that, yeah, phones are usually there because it's just like a lot of it's about sports, and you want to just whether I'm just going to show you a thing on Instagram or I'll show you a tweet, or if we're watching a game, it's like no, phones are going to be out.
Yeah, like I noticed that I'm on my phone a lot on Sundays. You know, in the past, I started taking your approach, man, where I remember you telling me a while back when I would tell you how I hate being on my phone on Sunday. You're like, bro, you're missing opportunities, man. You got to be on there on Sunday. So now I'm like a little bit more active on Sundays, kind of have the laptop and I'm watching my red zone, and I'll have the Giants game on every now and then, depending on how well they're doing. But you know, the reason why I'm even bringing that up is because I wanted to do with this one with you for a while, because you do have a unique story, a unique perspective. And also how I want to open up this conversation is, you know, you've been in the sports media world way longer than I have. When did you start writing and sort of, let's go back even further. When did you know that this is what you wanted to do as far as like being in the sports world and creating content?
I think it was like 2009 I really wanted to get into it because even growing up, I loved watching those pregame shows, whether it be Fox, CBS, or even ESPN. I just loved the whole aspect of an analyst. Like, we're going to preview games. We're going to highlight a player. Like, I just love the breakdowns of it, whether it be more of a story or more of a technical aspect. So that was always cool to me growing up, just kind of seeing like, oh, okay, this weekend it's Peyton Manning, or maybe we'll talk about Brett Favre. Just growing up and seeing like these players get highlighted, it was just cool to me. And I just loved that. But then I kind of moved more towards the writing side because I just always, I don't know if it's me being camera shy. Like, I don't mind being on camera, but I just think it's more of a challenge to put words together. Like, I love putting together like 3,000 words if possible. I know now, given everything's going to be mobile friendly, everyone's looking at SEO, it's going to be more condensed. It's like 1,000 words, which I totally get. You got to acclimate. But, you know, starting out, it was like when I was 16, but I didn't start taking it seriously until like I was 19 because, you know, I was very immature growing up, doing a lot of reckless stuff. But eventually, you know, seeing kind of like Twitter, which I think the best thing about Twitter, just seeing people like rise, you know, being inspired by others, and not necessarily football. It could be basketball, it could be MMA. You know, Ariel Helwani, you know, we've had him on the show. He's my guy. You know, getting inspired by that. I think if you have the right people that you follow and the right people that you consistently see their work, you get inspired by that. So I think that's what really helped me mature. It's just seeing people in different outlets doing their thing. It's like, damn, if they're doing this, why can't I? So that was kind of my approach when I was 19.
So how old are you now?
27.
27. So we're 2 years apart. It was weird because I did not think this was going to be something I'd be doing. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I didn't. You know, I've always been a sports fan. I always was the guy that my buddies would come up to me and like my sports take kind of, this is going to sound so shallow and like egotistical, but like, I feel like every group of friends had that one dude you would turn to and be like, yo, what do you think of this or that?
I was something like that too.
Yeah, like I was a sports dude, right. You know, like people would always come to me and it was like across the board on all sports. Like I know a little bit about a lot, and like obviously there are certain sports that I don't know enough about. And then there's stuff where I think like expertise, I guess, and I do air quotes because I think I just hate using that word, like
Right,
expert.
I
Like
get it.
it's just weird to me. But I always wanted to do like coaching. I always thought coaching was probably my favorite thing to do. Like high school football, I would go back and help out my old high school, and I just had a knack for it. You know, I was able to when I was up in Buffalo at Buffalo State, I was able to like dissect certain plays and tendencies. When I was just like the kicker in the back of the room, I'd be like, "Yo, you could tell like by his stance, he could do this or that, or he's gonna open up." And so I always had like an itch for that, but the coaching industry is a crazy road to get to like the top, just like anything, right?
But I feel like this is more, not just more intense, but very much results oriented.
Right.
Yeah, because look, everyone needs to succeed. Everyone needs to reach objectives, but I think coaching's a little bit more in your hands because you're really dependent on others. Like no matter how much you push your message towards high school athletes, if they're not executing it, it's gonna fall on you. So that's why coaching can become a very sticky area.
I remember all those years that people wanted John Gruden to go and coach again, and he's in Monday Night Football. I'm telling folks, why? Like, why would you, if you're Romo right now, and a team comes up to you and like, yo, you know what, we want to make you the offensive coordinator. Why would you leave the CBS?
Or even a GM.
Like, why?
Like
Eventually,
you hear Louis Riddick every now and then get mentioned for a GM opening.
I love that dude. I think
he's the
he's
man.
fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, have you noticed that no one's complaining about the Monday Night Football crew this year?
You get rid of Booger.
Yeah, but even like I feel like Joe Tessitore is a little over the top also.
Oh, when he was young, Showtime Mahomes, I was just like, enough. Like there was that. I think it was against Denver. It was like Mahomes' first star in prime time. He just kept calling him Showtime Mahomes, Showtime. I'm like, enough.
He's just like very animated. I like him on boxing though. Boxing, it's
Because that's a sport you kind of want to be animated. So.
Right. Yeah, you want to be more passionate about it. So like going back to me, man, I never thought I'd be doing something like this. And when was like your first break into the industry?
Probably 21. I remember I was getting my spring semester organized. I remember being in Baruch, which is right in the thick, not Midtown, but more. Not too far from Midtown. Like it's about 15-minute walk from Madison Square Garden. Say for people not in New York, like Madison Square Garden's like right in the thick, 33rd. Like Baruch's around like 25th and Lexington, so it was a bit of a walk. But I just remember getting the offer from SB Nation. It was like mid-January, and Falcons didn't have a coach. Like Mike Smith just got fired. They were actually looking at Rex Ryan to be the coach.
Wow, that would have been lit.
Yeah, Rex Ryan and then Todd Bowles, but both actually chose both Buffalo and then the Jets. So Falcons ultimately wait till early February to hire Dan Quinn because Seattle was in the Super Bowl,
They were
lost to the Patriots. So yeah, I remember just getting that offer. I was like, whoa, this is great. Because at that point, I was writing for 2 years on a couple different websites, doing podcasts with my boy Aaron, and I was like slowly proving myself, but it was nothing. Nothing was really happening. It was just more of like, okay, I'm in this position where, I'm writing, I'm podcasting, but I haven't had any major breaks. We haven't had any significant guests. But now it's just like, okay, 21 years old. Now I'm going to start getting paid. Now I can actually get my credentials. Now I can start interviewing players. Like, this is big. Now I'm going to be on a platform where, I think at the time, Falcoholic, they had like 40,000 followers. So I was like, okay, now my work's going to get posted there compared to now I'm, because back then it was just independent stuff. You're just more about, this is my following, and you just hope something will catch on. Now it's like, okay, I have like infrastructure behind me. Now it's not solely on me. Of course, I gotta put together great content, but now I have someone that's backing me, someone that could give me guidance, someone that could structure properly. Because I think one issue I had early on as a writer was putting together a title. Because to me, it's like, okay, I don't want to be too generic, but the last thing I want to do is be clickbaity because it's just not my style. One thing about me is like I'm always going to provide substance. I don't like really doing much gimmicky stuff. I might latch onto a trend here and there, but I'm going to make it into my own. And, ultimately I want to give you content. I want you to be informed by it. But the last thing I want to do is just do some very clickbaity, some very TMZ, attention-seeking headline it's just not, there's no integrity behind it. I think that's just not right. That's just not who I am. So trying to get the title was always something that I had to work on. It's like, okay, we're not going to be basic, but don't be clickbaity. So eventually just having that kind of stuff really helped mold me as a writer. So, getting that was at 21. Then first game I ever covered, I was 22. It was Falcons-Giants week 2. Went to MetLife, and from then on I started covering games.
Where would you rank that moment when SB Nation says that your stuff is good enough to be on board? Because I wouldn't say. Actually, I would say, man, we seek validation.
Yeah.
We just do.
Absolutely.
And all the people that say, "Nah, man, I don't," it's like, no, you do, right? My consumer is my fan base. They're also, in a way, they're kind of my employer too, because if no one was listening to the show, then I wouldn't be making any money
Right.
to get the studio and to be able to sort of have a better career path, an idea of what I want to do. So the idea of like, I don't care what people think, I think that's corny to me. I think that's inauthentic. I think that's just you trying to be way cooler than you really are.
Or people that don't read comments. Like, I get it, there's some trolls out there, but like, you have to be able to take constructive criticism, and you have to realize, not everyone's out to get you. Like, even if someone has like 32 followers, they actually might have some quality criticism. They might have some comment where you have to take into consideration. That's one thing, I've learned over the years.
I really like streaming on Twitch, even though I haven't done it in a while, and I don't do it as consistent as I once was, because, when the football season comes around, man, a lot of things take a back seat. And I've had conversations with my parents in the past, and they know like football it's a lot, because it's not just football. There's football headlines every day, all the time. There's the gambling aspect. There's a fantasy aspect about it. There's, you have, this year you had the NBA in the middle of this too because of COVID. You have all this other shit that's going on. And look, I'm not happy that that's how it is, but that is how it is too. It's hard for you to find a happy balance between both personal and business. And that's one thing that I've really struggled with throughout the years, and I still continue to struggle with it. I would think I've done a better job. My parents would think otherwise.
And what would you pinpoint? Like,
Man, I do think like sometimes I'm a little too like into what I'm doing.
okay, so a bit of addiction, you would think?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say it's a good addiction because
it pushes you.
Yeah, it's inspiring, it's motivating, right? Like I think there's certain addictions that are good, and there's obviously the evil ones.
Right.
But I think like with this addiction for me, it's leading towards something. It's keeping me going, it's keeping me sane, it's keeping me having fun.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Right. There's also the addiction of gambling, where gambling is the only addiction that you can actually win in. Right? Like you can hypothetically speaking go over to Bet Online, or you could go to FanDuel, and you could put in $100 bet and win 2K. You're going to become addicted to that.
Right. Because you've seen the success. It's like, why can't I replicate it? Why can't I get more?
This is exactly.
Yeah, why can't I build on it?
Gambling is the only addiction that you can see some positive out of it, right? Like if you're into drugs, like those can end terribly. If you're an alcoholic, that could end terribly. But if you're an addict to the gym, I think that's pretty dope, right? Like you want to be fit, you want to be a little more, like I work out every day now, you know what I mean? So going back to how this conversation even started, like with me, with the validation, like reading the comments, I think it's important to read the comments. Like if someone tells you like, yo, bro, go to hell, fucking die. Like, obviously he's a troll, bro. But if someone like in my Twitch community, my favorite thing about it is like, those people are kind of a different element of fan, right? Like they're watching you play video games, they're watching you stream. It's a little different dynamic. They're also paying you money because they want to be a subscriber. Like you could kind of coin them as like more ride or die than like the person that just listens to your podcast, which isn't a bad thing. Like I love everybody, right? Everyone that's listening or watching or liking, it goes into building this entire brand that I'm doing. But people like in the comments that'll DM me and they're like, yo, bro, the lighting in that video was kind of suspect compared to your other ones. It's like, yeah, bro, this dude watches all my shit. Like, obviously there's some validation coming from him. It's a little different from fucking Bradley White 7654321 as opposed to like even Taryn. Yeah. Like Taryn was a fan in the beginning, and like I've gotten to know him, and like we game and shit. We text each other like, yo, get on Call of Duty and whatnot. And like he's been on the podcast a ton. And even when he kind of criticizes me, it's like you got to be able to understand the difference between criticism and like someone just like genuinely looking out for your thing.
Not everything's a personal insult.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how you have to look at it. Like people, it's by your work. It's not by your character. Like if someone's going to criticize you, I think you have to have the, the intelligence of knowing how to separate it. It's
Mm.
like, okay, not, yeah, okay, you could be the most passionate person by your work, but someone critiques it, it's not insult of who you are as a person. It's like, okay, just, you gotta make this adjustment, or, maybe take a little bit of a step back. Like, I just think people get insulted far too easily. It's like, oh, like, okay, we know this is your life. We know you're so passionate about it, but not everything's gonna be perfect. I think one issue I had in the past is, I'm still kind of a bit of a perfectionist, and I'm put a lot of pressure on myself to deliver. But if if something didn't go perfectly right, I definitely would harp on it too much, and I would have like this really gloomy outlook, and I just get really, really down on myself just because like, I have these expectations. I just want to deliver. I want to make sure everyone's satisfied. Because for me, it's like I want everyone to be informed. But man, you can't please everyone. That's the thing, man. Because that working in media, it's like you're chasing that acceptance. That's the main thing. It's like, okay, I just want to be that accepted guy. I just want to have my following, and I just want, when I post something, people are gonna react, and it's gonna be 100% approval. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. It's just, you're gonna have some criticism, and you're just gonna have some things where, okay, it didn't necessarily go to plan. So, that's kind of like, now I've kind of had to look at the past few years. It's like understanding that, the aim is you want to be like, you want no wrongs. Like, you want everything to deliver. Don't get me wrong. We still have high standards for something, but you gotta understand there will be setbacks. That's just how life is, and you gotta make sure you have the mindset to be able to take it in and then make those proper adjustments, and then use it to fuel you and deliver. That's it.
Well, especially in the world that we're living in, with the sports world, you're trying to be perfect in an imperfect world.
Right.
Like, no matter what. Like, I was looking at my year-long NFL predictions. Lions winning the division.
Well, you were shooting a little bit, like,
I was,
yeah.
but it's like, saying that the Seahawks are going to go 8-8, and then they start off the year 6-0, and it's just like, oh, getting heat for that and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's just, you got to understand that. I always bring the analogy of sports betting, how professional sports bettors strive for 55%. Dude, 55%. You could be a professional sports bettor. If you were to tell me right now, like, yo, the rest of the season from this point on, you could pick 55% of your games, I'd ask you for money and let's go invest it. Because that's something that's so difficult. So in the sports world, you see it all the time. Like, I've stopped trolling people like, oh my God, you told me to start Mike Davis over A.J. Brown or some shit. It's like, bro, if you give me the facts, if you give me the stats, you
give me a compelling case.
Yeah, if you give me a case, like, I'm going to listen to it. And then whatever happens, happens. Like, one of my buddies a couple weeks ago, he was like, yo, I really, really like DK Metcalf this week, like from DFS.
Okay.
I was like, yo, I'm kind of leaning more Lockett than Metcalf. Why do you like Metcalf? And he gave me all the reasons. The game I'm talking about is the Cardinals game. Lockett goes for 12, 203.
Right.
And it's like, yo, I hear you. I hear what you were saying. And it's just like, sometimes it's a coin flip. It's shit out of luck.
Right.
Going back to the conversation about DMs and reading comments, bro, when I linked up with Blue Wire, it was because Kevin DM'd me. He's like, hey, man, I like your stuff. I want to bring you on board. You have a chance to chat. What if I was an asshole and I was just like, fuck that, man. I'm not reading no comments. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
Being very standoffish.
Yeah.
That's one thing you don't want to be in the industry. If you're standoffish, you start getting a reputation. People don't really want to interact with you. And then you're potentially losing on opportunities.
I hate seeing people calling out people in the same industry as them, in the sense of, like, you see it a lot in fantasy. You see it a lot in sports betting. Like, oh my God, you had David Johnson ranked so high. Clown. Is this you?
Yeah.
I hate is this you culture.
Right.
It's in the Mount Rushmore of things that drive me
Yeah,
crazy. Because, like, bro, that person, you can network with them. Going back to how you said about Twitter. Like, Twitter is tremendous for networking.
Yeah.
All right. Usually everyone's email is there. You could DM them. Most people you could DM. And I hate this is you. It's like, yeah, bro, my bad.
We all have bad takes.
I thought Jared Goff was a top 5 quarterback in 2018. Yeah. Now it looks ugly, but fuck, let me rock.
Right. It's like, look, we all have takes, and we all watch, and we try to see, okay, you watch enough tape to gauge an opinion. It's like, okay, we're going to put enough information behind it. That's what we believe in. If it doesn't come to fruition, look, we got to take it. Because one thing I think you see a bit of an issue is, and this comes from maybe analyst journalism aspect, is more of, people not admitting their wrongs. Like they'll trying to
That's a big one,
yeah,
dude.
making kind of excuses for why didn't a team make the playoffs, or why didn't this quarterback progress, or why did this general manager make this draft pick, or draft pick's another one. That's another thing. Like if a team didn't draft a certain player, I just think at this times like okay, you can make enough of a rational reason behind you making a decision, but you gotta be just accountability is so big in life, man. Accountability anywhere. It's like okay, I made this mistake. This is what happened. If it was dumb, fine, I'll admit to it. But if it was something that I thought I had a credible opinion, fine. But I just think you have to be able to address that in a very mature manner. I just think there's too much now. It's like, oh, I got it wrong. So what? You're like, I usually get this right. Like, all right, you usually do what? But we're talking about this now. Let's focus on this. We just have to analyze things one by one rather than just give this overly dramatic, long overview of something. Or we're just focusing on one particular topic.